This conference will now be recorded.
Right. So we started with agile model yesterday, right? Discussing about what is an agile. Agile is mainly a teamwork kind of process, right? Togetherness of our developers and test engineers together working onto the requirements, right? So that is the main meaning of that. So as we evenly mentioned it, right, is an upgraded version of spiral model over there with multiple iterations, right? So in the spiral model, we were only having one iteration working for only one set of requirement over there. So that team has accomplished that set of requirements. The same team will move on to another subsequent set of requirement. But whereas in the agile, we have multiple iterations, multiple teams working on multiple set of requirements, right? So that is why it is an upgraded version of spiral, they see it as, right? Another reason why do we are approaching into the agile over here is to overcome communication problem and to reduce documentation, right? Overcome communication problem between the team and to reduce the documentation. So this is what a main reason is, another reason, right? So how do we communicate within the team related to the requirements, right, without any documentation is agile started using its own keywords, right? Keywords of agile over here, right? Based on these keywords, the team started approaching onto the requirements over there. And the keywords they specified as epic, right? Where we said it is a large requirement or a high level requirement. So in your notes, I mentioned epic as an example like this, right? Epic is as a user, I can, sorry, what did I mention? I can or I need, whatever it is, does not matter. I need to access online bank application. That is what the example I have put it in your notes and sent it to you, right? Now, in order to access this online bank application, right, what all things you need to perform over there is all talking about the story, right? Part of Epic, small requirement, right, which is called as a small requirement. So the example which I kept it as like this. So we divided the epic into multiple set of requirements over here, right? So that is called as a story one. So that online bank application, I can do an accessing, right? As a user, I can register into online bank application. That is what the story says. The first set requirement over there. Second one, the story two, right? As a user, I can log into the online bank application. I'll put it as a shortcut now, OBA, something like that, right? So that is my second story, which is called as a second set of requirement now, right? It keeps on going in that manner. How many requirements, how many parts you can divide the epic into, you can there. As a user, I can check my account balance. As a user, whatever my account related to, I can check the balance, right? After that, I can do some transferring, right? I can do some payments. There are multiple stories you can prepare in that manner, right? So the team needs to work onto every story over here. So when the team is working onto every story, the tasks to be performed, they call it as right? Tasks are, developers say, they talk about a review of the story, right? They're reviewing the story there, right? Example is user or a customer must register into that online bank application over there, right? So I will evenly put it up in this case, right? So that is registration into online bank application that he has to stop. He has to review it. Now, what is it he is going to review in that in that story over there? So what is it? Content, right? So what are input values? I'll make it like this. What are valid input values and what are invalid input values, right? Which to be accepted, which is to be rejected. It is all will be put into that particular story requirement, right? So this is what they said, story. So for the story, the requirements specify like this: the valid, the invalid, right? What links does it have? What all text boxes does it have, right? What GUI part it has, and so on in that manner. So that is going to be reviewed by our developer. Similarly, it will be evenly reviewed by us also. The same thing, we are also going to review it, story over there. Now, the developer has reviewed all these, valid, invalid, rejected, whatever it is, right? So based on that reviewing of the requirement, right, he starts preparing some coding to the requirements, right? So simultaneously, we do prepare a test case document here, right? And they do some unit testing. So we perform some test case document execution and it continues into that manner, right? So this is how the epic and a story is being conducted. Is it clear till here now? Yes, people. Is it clear till here? Right. Now, how is this entire process is going to be happening by the entire team, which we will be talking about the agile process over there. Till now, we were only talking about the model, right? But this model, the work process we need to talk about, that is under the agile process, right? So who's going to be involved in this agile process, right? What is their all responsibilities and all is being put over here. Basically, we start from the team size here, which we call it as a scrum team, right? The main team or the entire team over here. So scrum team involves over here is a core scrum team. The main team, that is your developers and the test engineers, right? That is what they will be involved. The scrum masters are there, that is your test leads and your product managers over there. Scrum executives, that is your designing team and the production team. Somebody asked me yesterday, production team, who is it? In a sense, it is all about the end users, the maintenance team, I will call it as, right? It will be much better. The maintenance team is being called as a production team over there, right? So then our main person comes, the initial person, call it as product owner, which is where we are talking about a business analyst over here. So this will be our team, right? So this team is going to work onto our user stories which we are talking about over there, right? In one iteration. So there is another iteration, there are other team also working onto that, right? So that is what it happens over there. Sure. Let us start off from the product owner, right? So the product owner interacting with clients, gathering requirements and documenting them. That is his responsibility, right? The requirements gathered need to be segregated, they will say it as, right? So the product owner will define the features like what is an epic and what is going to be a story over there, right? So he'll be defining it over there. What is an epic, what is a large requirement, and what is a small requirement. He'll be defining out over there, right? So these epics and the stories will also be given a priority over there, right? Product owner in association with clients will prioritize the requirements, right? They will be prioritizing the requirements over there, right? As I gave you an example in a paint diagram over there, where we took a set of requirements, right? So the requirements got segregated in such manner, right? Requirement 1, I'll give it as a priority 1 there. So this is my first story. First story here, which has only one requirement. And those two people have decided this is going to be my first requirement over the priority, needs to be implemented first, then talk about the next stories over there. Based on that, the team will be working. So the second story, which has a 5 requirements over there, right? So the second story, which is having a 5 requirements, it is simply giving it as a priority 2. That means the second iteration or the same team, if it is moving on to the second story, they have to work onto it because it has been given a priority as a 2, right? So that is how it is going on, prioritizing the requirements. Who will be deciding it? The product owner and the client deciding will be the, right? So this entire task is all considered as a product backlog over here, right? This entire process is considered as product backlog. Is nothing but gathering the requirements, documenting them, and defining what is an epic and what is a story over there. Later, giving some priorities to those stories over here, right? So this is what a product owner responsibility is being done, right? So the requirements being gathered, right? Defined what is story, what is an epic, right? We have an epic that is which is having a 10 requirements, a complete large requirement is, right? And the large requirement is divided into stories, right? So 1, 5, 6 are done. The third story, right? Another 2. How many are done down? 5, 6, 7, 8, right? The story 4 is having another 2 set of requirements, right? So it will be given some priorities in this manner, right? So the team, right? We are only talking about one particular team now, right? So there will be another epic, right? Which is having another 10 requirements or 5 requirements based on the requirements, the application over there, right? So this epic will be having a separate team over there, right? Another Scrum team is there for you. And this team is again getting their own set of requirements, right? Stories, again, they are giving it over there, right? So that is what it is. So in that case, I'm going to discuss about only one particular team in this case, because the same work process is again happening in the other iteration by the other team also, the same thing. So which keeps on happening there. Right. Where are we? Right. So requirements gathered, documented it, defining what is an epic, what is a story, and prioritizing those stories over there. It is all done now. Now, what is it to be done? Going to be done is a user story discussion over here, right? User story is what over here, as we said, entire requirements cannot be implemented at once. But in multiple iterations. We are all talking about right from the first right from the yesterday's session, that right. So that means the requirements will be segregated into various sets, where each set of requirement is called as user story, which we set it as, right. Entire requirements related to the project must be segregated into various sets, and each set of requirement is called user story over there, right. And the entire team will be discussing about this user story, and this story will be put into a document called as a use case document, right. User story defines preparation of use case document, right. So this is the document which specifies what is it, all the requirements related to it, right. As we said, this specifies all required actions. So what are the actions you need to perform onto that application, right? Your action is to open the web page. Your action is to click the object or the link over there. Your action is to enter some inputs into that object if it is a text box over there, right? So this is what you keep on doing it, required actions and responses of application. Now, based on your action, what is the application response should be is all being defined into that use case document, right? Which helps you, the test engineer, about understanding the application, right? Application, response application, functionality, all such kind of things, right? And later prepare a test case document in easy. It helps you out in preparing a test case document in a easy manner. So that is what this segregation is all about, the stories over there, right? Where did we did here? We divided the requirements into stories, right? Now this registration of an online bank application, what is it going to contain? Now how do I need to open this web page? How do I open this registration page of an online bank application, right? For that purpose, I'll be using the URL. So the URL will be mentioned in the use case document. Once it is opened, what all content it has? Is it having links? Is it having a text box? If it is a text box, what is it going to accept? Sorry, what is it going to reject? And what is it going to accept? It is all being specified in this document called as use case document, right? So that is the usage of that only document here, right? So here, so once the use case document is being defined over here, what is the team needs to be done here, right? So the developers and test engineers will be doing their own tasks. By the time whatever masters will be doing it over here. So what is our masters going to do? Masters, that is your product owner and the test lead, will conduct meetings in daily basis, right? So why do they conduct in a daily basis? To ensure the work completed yesterday, today, and what are the plans for completion of tomorrow's task over there. Tomorrow's task. So that is all will be done by the masters over there. In the other manner, we'll be evenly calling this master, right? Your leads, your product owners, right, will be a mediator between the team, right? So it will be, they'll be acting as a mediator also here. Here, masters will play a mediator role between the team, in a sense. I'm talking about Scrum team over here. That is what they will be doing it over here, right? So that is their responsibility. We'll keep aside the masters now, right? So here, once the segregation is being done, the team performs its own tasks over there, right? So which story need to be implemented first, right? As we said, every story is being given priority, right? Inside that story, if there are multiple requirements, like the story 2, it has multiple requirements. Again, in this requirements, the 5 requirements which to be implemented first, right? And that requirement to be accomplished when, right? There's a duration over there, which we call it as sprint analysis and the sprint backlog. So let us define what is sprint analysis first, right? We will remove this. So sprint analysis defines the maximum duration of time, right? This defines the maximum duration of time, that is 1 to 2 weeks. As I said, this is by default, you need to give it as an answer. And as I evenly specified in the Jira tool, it is going to only display it as by defaultly as 2 weeks there, right? But there is a customization. You can raise the number, you can decrease the number. It is all based on the requirements over there, right? The duration can be increased or decreased based on requirements. So somebody asked me a question, I evenly mentioned it over here itself, right? So that was your sprint analysis. Now the sprint backlog, we got some time now. So in that time, which story to be accomplished, where your sprint backlog defines, right? This defines the priority of user story to be accomplishing, right? So under the story, which is your, again, which story needs to be accomplished is all being put into your sprint backlog. So as we said, here is 5 requirements, right? So 5 requirements, right? So into this, if it is being specified in this manner, so the team eventually works in this particular manner over here. This is where we are talking about a sprint backlog now, right? So the second story, which is having 5 requirements, so 5 requirements will be again giving a priority. So those priorities need to be accomplished in a particular time. That is, each requirement will be given a 1 to 2 weeks of time. So where the entire Scrum team needs to accomplish the tasks, right, in that particular duration over there. That is where defining as sprint analysis and the sprint backlog over there, right? So when the team is approaching onto those requirements over here, right, if the story is been accomplished, then we talk about sprint integration. Now the integration is nothing but combined over there. Now tell me, can we perform any integration onto this story into this sprint over here? This is our first sprint. So it is my first sprint over here, which has been there given as 1 to 2 weeks. So the team is working onto it, the sprint, the requirements are being successful, the story is being completed, right? Now tell me, can I do any integration process in this story under my first sprint?
No, sir.
No, right? If there is any more requirement added, then I need to do the next requirement also individually. Later I will be doing a combine. That is where I can do an integration process, right? The integration process which can be happened in our second story, the second sprint, which we call it as, right? Because there are 5 different user stories over there, right? So we need to combine everything when we do it individually. So I will do combine my first requirement with my second requirement. Then the sequential order I do it as, right? Once it is done, all I will ensure all the stories are working again as a combinedly, which I'm talking about my sprint integration process, right? So once these requirements are also accomplished, I will do an integration process again between these 2 sprints, my sprint 1, my sprint 2, right? That is your first story and the second story, the 2 requirements over there. I will do an integration process within that also, because all are related to the same project over there, right? So this is what one line I mentioned it as. If validation of specific user story is successful, the activities will move on to another user story, right? Not move, I'll be using a much better, right? Will integrate with another subsequent user story, right? That is, I mentioned it as if any, because if there is any requirement there, then you will do an integration. If it is not there, you will not do it in that case, right? So once the user story integration, if it is there, it is done. If it is not there, then arrange a demo here now, which we call it as sprint review, right? A demo will be arranged for client once integration is successful, right? So that demo the client has satisfied, then release the corresponding story there, right? Once demo is success, release the user story, right? So once it is released, what is the team needs to do now? The requirements are being released. Now team needs to be doing what? They have to move on to another user story, another set of requirements there. But before moving on to it, they talk about the last one called as sprint completion meeting, right? What difficulties you have encountered and what are the favorable, the advantages you encountered over there. During the previous user story over there, right? So before moving on to it, they do a one last meeting called as sprint completion meeting, right? So the user story is being delivered. The production team will be taking care about the release point over there, right? Once it is released, they will evenly see to the maintenance part, right? That is their production team responsibility. So the designing pattern, it keeps on happening over there, the designing team over there, right? So this is how the entire process will be working on to, right? The entire agile process and to the entire agile model over there. Is it clear here now?
Yes, sir.
Any queries still here, people? Let me know now. Because here, once it is done, I'm going to move on to the Jira tool over there. So no queries. Let us move on to the Jira tool there. Right. Jira tool. What type of tool is this Jira? What type of tool is this Jira? How many types of tools do we have? Documentation. One type of tool do we have, sir? One second. I'm just coming in a second there. How many types of tools do we have? Yes, Mr. Harikiran, you said one.
What types of tools, sir?
Sir? Sorry, I did not catch you there, sir.
4 types of tools, sir.
Right.
Functional, performance, test management, defect management.
So the Jira comes under which tool?
We use for the test manager and defect management.
So consider it as a management tool over there.
Yes, sir.
So Jira is a management tool, especially used when the project is under the agile process over there. So the agile, that is why we call this as an agile management tool over here, right? So for the convenience, when the team is working under an agile process, and Jira will help you out because the agile is having its own terminology, right? Called as epic, sprint, stories, right? All these terms are being developed into a tool called as Jira there. So that is why Jira is much convenient when it is being, when the project is under the agile model over there, right? So that is why I have the navigations ready and kept it for you, right? You can see the first line, I named it as itself over there. Agile management tool. The Jira software is an agile management tool, right? And I earlier evenly said it is a web-based tool. You don't need to download it, right? No need to install into your PCs over there. You just need to open a browser and start using in that case over there. Now, what all the Jira will be doing it for you, you can have the activities over there. You can see Agile Scrum activities. First, we will be doing a configuring of the tool there, right? Where we'll be logging into that Jira tool, creating a project, inviting some users to the project. Users in a sense, who's going to be involved for the project? my developers, my test engineers, right? Who are rest of the team, whatever it is, right? I'll be sending an invitation to all of them. In essence, I become as an admin for that particular project over there, right? That is what I'll be doing. And later I'll be evenly assigning some tasks to those users where I sent an invitation to them, right? That means when I give a task that you have to do a review of the corresponding story, an invitation is sent to you. You're supposed to log in into that using that invitation link over there, as you people just did it, right? A Google meeting has been sent, a link is being sent to you. And what did you did? You clicked onto it, the GoToMeeting started opening up and the class being happened. The same thing in the Jira also, an invitation link will be sent for every person who's involved for that corresponding project, right? So that person has a to-do list, right? What are the tasks to be conducted, which will be specified in the to-do list, right? And the work will be under the progress. Once the task is accomplished, you'll be seeing that progress will be into the done over there, right? So this is how the basic work process of the tool is there, right? And other point, the Jira, as I told you, and I'm going to tell it now, the management tools, not only the Jira, the management tools do not do any execution by itself. These are not like your functional tools, neither a performance tools. Do not expect anything. What is it we did, right? The end of the day, you cannot ask me what is it we did it. We are talking about the entire documentation part, putting into the tool over there for our convenience, right? Rather putting into a document called Word or an Excel sheet over there, right? The names are already predefined in the tool where we are taking a help of it and filling up the details by us over there, right? So that is an option over there. And the other thing over here is the Jira tool, it is having a lot of drag and drop option, right? It will not do any illusions, nothing going to be happening in illusion. Anybody, people attending a Selenium class? Is anybody attending a Selenium class simultaneously?
Yes, sir.
Right. So what was that happening there? Once a program is being written, they click a play button and there is an illusion happening for you. The script goes and executes onto the web page, right? You have a
Yes, sir.
run button, a play button over there. But in the Jira, we do not have anything in that case. I'm repeating it again, right? So it is not having any kind of a play button. That means there is no execution. So the cases, whatever you write it in the Jira, right? Based on that, you do it your execution separately because it is a management. And moreover, I'm evenly making it a point, not only the Jira, the rest of the management tools, whatever we had over there, like the quality center, even the Bugzilla, right? Or whatever the rest of the tools. They will only prepare the documentation easy over there. These are the tools which are making the documentation easy. Rather working on your Excel sheet, rather working on your Word document, there are tools, take a help of it, fill it up, make a link so that the other person will log in by himself and check it whether the task to be done by him or not to be done by him. So this is how the tool will be eventually working for us. Clear? Right. And moreover, this tool, the Jira tool, is not a open source, it is a commercial tool by, right? So we need to use a trial version, right? Trial version has all the options opened up. It is not going to say that few options are being disabled, few options are enabled, nothing like that. Trial version is also in completely open options, all options we have, right? And the other point in the Jira over here is we have a word called issue types. a word we'll be using it over here called issue types, right, in Jira, right? And what are all those issue types are epic, story, bug, task, and the test. Everything will be called as an issue over here, right? They'll be asking you which issue you are working on to. Specified, either a story issue, either it is a bug issue, or writing a test case issue over here, right? Or you are reviewing the epic over there. What is it you people are doing, right? Everything inside Jira is considered as an issue over there. I'll show it to you. Where is it? Right? So I've only mentioned a note over here. In Jira, epic, story, bug, test and tasks come under issue type over there. Right? That is what it says. Right. So we are done with that now. And this Jira is an Australian-based. It has been developed by an Australian-based company, which is called as an Atlassian. Over here is the company name there. This is the company which is developing it and maintained by these people itself. It's an Australian-based company there, right? Now let us get along with the navigation of this, right? So once my session has been done, I'll be navigating this to what do you call this? Notepad, right? You can do the practice over there. Sure. I made it easy for you. Use your URL, use the URL from here itself, right? Or else Google it, does not matter, however you people convenient are, right? So now we'll do a configuring of the Jira, right? We'll be logging in. So for the login, you can create your own login email ID into this Jira tool, the Atlassian website, or else you use your own Gmail account itself. That is all dependent by you. Whereas I'm using my Gmail account over here as an account for my Jira tool there, right? So we will create a project later, and we will create, or otherwise we'll invite the users into the project, right? Let us copy this URL. Open any browser. It will work onto any browser. There is no compatibility saying that limited browsers, nothing. It will work onto any browsers because it says web-based tool. It is called as a web-based tool, then works on into any browser. There is no conditions there, right? I pasted my URL over there. This is the first page which I open up, right? You can use this try now button from here on the top, or otherwise under Jira software, you click on try cloud. Both do navigate to the same place, right? So the Jira software project and issue trackings over there, click on the next button. Right? So we clicked on the next button. This is my email ID, right? Which I use it only for these kind of a processes, right? The email ID which you people have, that is for only for students over there, right? So here it is asking you to claim your own website over there, right? So in that website, you are going to create multiple projects over there, right? So next time when you people are trying to log in, you don't need to do all these navigations again and again. You just use that site URL, right? You straight away navigate. If you have multiple projects, select a project from that, right? Let us give a unique name over there. Obviously, we have to give a unique name over here. So something I'm giving it as 32EWQ over there, something uniqueness for that. I'll click on agree. It will take time, people, because the tool will be built then and then. right? Based on your processes, what you people do. You can see here. One moment, your site is starting up. That means they are building it for us right now. There are a few questions will be asked here. We can skip them. We don't need to use or we don't need to answer all those questions. It is not a mandatory over there. I have evenly mentioned that line also for you, right? Where I clicked on a try cloud, clicked on a next, gave a site name as 32EWQ, something like that, right? Where I logged in with my email ID as a friends for me 7@gmail, right? So later it will ask you for questions. We can skip them there. Sir, we are not talking about any interview part right now. So that will not be a proper query for us asking now in this session, right? Here you see, you can skip all these. We don't need them over here. If you are into a development side, then you'll be selecting either any of that. Yes, we'll be working on this Excel sheet. Let me get into that. We'll be talking about that sheet there. I'm not going to use a Google sheet. We'll be using an Excel sheet, right? Where I'll be preparing a test case and doing that importing there. I'll skip this, right? Here it is asking us to invite the team, right? Which team members need to be involved for our so-called project over there. I'll give some random names here, something like this, ABC at the rate, and so on over there, right? The checkbox says, let my teammates invite other people to our site also. So me as an admin, I made 3 leads over here. So the 3 leads will invite the senior or the junior test engineers. The cycle keeps on going over there, right? I'll stop it because these are only just dummy email IDs which I mentioned it. Click continue. Again, skipping it. And here, bug tracking will come down. It will take time over there. Scrum is the template. The Kanban is the template there where we'll be selecting it. So we are selecting a Scrum template over here, right? Yeah, use this template. And here it is asking a project name. Again, give a unique project name also, right? Related to my URL. I'll be saying it as the same project name itself over there. And the keys are by defaultly being selected over there by the Jira tool, right? Now I'll click on a create a button where the project gets created now. Right. So this is your Jira tool homepage. You can consider it as, right? So this is the tool where we have been now, right? It shows me to do, what are the tasks to be done, right? Once my user logs in, he will see what are the tasks he finds over there, right? Drags it and drops it in progress. So the progress, that means the user which I sent an invitation, that person needs to perform his own tasks, right? You're a developer, review the requirements stories over there and prepare a source code for that. You are a test engineer, review the same requirement stories over there, prepare a test case document, right? All those tasks will be assigned to you, which are in the progress. So the task being accomplished, drag it from the in progress to the done list over there, right? So this is how it works now, right? This is your board over here, right? Some versions it has active sprint. So currently it is showing you a board over here. Do not worry. Either it can be an active sprint, either it can be a board over there. Does not matter. Version to version changes over there, right? The backlog page is the page where you will be working on to, right? Where you'll be working on to creating an epic, creating a story, right? all these things will be performed over here now, right? So we are in the project named it as EWQ over there, right? You have a create button over here, you can see, right? This is where you can see issue types, right? Either you're creating an epic, either you're creating a bug or a task. What is it you people are talking about over here? That will be mentioning, right? Where we'll be giving a summary, descriptions, assigning to the person, right? Which person you want to assign it, you can do it, right? And clicking create. So that is how you do it. So we invited few users over there, right? You still want to invite more users. I have mentioned that line also. We choose a template, right? Template called Scrum over there. We gave a project name as EWQ over there. A tutorial was there. I just skipped it, right? So you want to invite more users, you can do that over there. Go to the apps button, that is here, you'll be finding it to the extreme left, the apps button. Go for an administration. Right, you'll see the screen here. Earlier, at the time of logging in, I seen these users, I gave an invitation to them. You want to give more, you can add up here, right? You can see my name, Arvind Rao, that's my email ID. I'm acting as an admin for this site over here, right? That is what it is showing you. Well, you can do this invitation. So already I've done, so I'm not going to do it right now in this case. Going back to our project. Right. So let us create some epics, stories, and so on over there. Here you can see it is an epic panel over here currently, right? So let us create some epics over here. I'll go to the create button. I'll select my epic issue type as epic, right? The project currently, the project is only one. So there is only one there. You have multiple projects created, you'll be having that list also, right? So the epic, let us work on to the same example. Sorry. The same example which I use it over here, right? As a user, I need to access online bank application. That will be my epic, giving it as a summary over there, right? So I'll give a reference also, something like this for my reference, not getting any complications over there, right? In order to access it, I'll give some descriptions. As a user, I can enter URL of that AUT so that I can access the online bank application website there, right? Some description, I mentioned it. So that this story, this epic will be assigned to our lead over here, right? Start dates, end dates can be specified, right? That is your sprint analysis, which is it, right? So you can mention it, otherwise we can leave it empty there, right? So it is done, you create button. You have multiple epics to be done, you give it as another epic there, right? Let us create another one also. Create. So the epic will be created and there will be another one now, right? You can see empty now. What we'll do is we'll use another word there. As a user, what I'll do is I'll just select some random here. Right. I'm just selecting a random name over there. As a user, I can register into, yes, online bank application, right? Give some descriptions. Again, there's only me over there assigned, only me as a one user over there. There are no multiple. So my name will be there, right? I'm done with two epics. 1 second. Let me give this as a reference number as 2, create it, it is done. But where are my epics here? Where are my epics? One second, people. I'm not able to get this epics which I created. Has to be displayed here. This is more options here. No, Abba, now it has come. But it has to display it here. Why it is displaying it in this? I don't know. Nonsense. So this is where it is getting displayed. Thanks, sir. Right, the two epics are done, right? So the epic 1 and the epic 2, right? So here, where is my navigation? We just did this part now, created an epic over there inside the backlog page. This is your backlog here. We created it. Now it is time for us to create some user stories under the epic over there, right? Select your epic, the first one, right? Let us create some stories under that, right? Again, you go to the create button. Now select your issue type as a story, right? So online, sorry, I need to access online bank application. We defined some stories over there. Where is it? Right, some story. I'm selecting it over here, giving a summary over there. Assignee, again, the name who you want to assign this story to, right? And create it over there, right? Sprint, we did not define anything. Later it will come down, right? Reporter is, that is me. I'm doing all these tasks. Create it. You'll find a story over here again. Is it anything? Right. Now you can see it here. A story is being created, right? The story is being created under this particular epic. Let us create another story also under this epic here, right? Story. Another story which we have it is a login over there, right? And create. So two user stories under the epic, first epic over there, it has been created. So you can create another stories over here also, under this particular epic, right? So you can create something. What I'll do is I'll use the third story under my second epic, right? Right, you can see it here. The third story is also being created under my second epic over here, right? So the story creation is being done. Now, which story to be started first, next, and last, right? For that purpose, we are supposed to create a sprint here. User story is being created, right? Creating a sprint needs to be done. Now, for that purpose, right? So here you have a create sprint button to the extreme right, right? You click on a create sprint button. By defaultly, the name will be defined as sprint 1. There are 0 issues, right? That means there are no stories being added into it. That means nothing can be started. You can see the start sprint button is also is in disabled mode. So we cannot start anything because there are no issues, no stories being added into it. Now, in order to add a story into this particular sprint, what you're supposed to do, as I told you, you have a lot of drag and drop options. You drag it and drop it. Now you can see the start sprint button gets enabled over there, right? So first story in my first sprint, that is one issue. Now I'll create another another sprint, the second sprint with 0 issues. What I'll do is I'll add these 2 stories. I'll add these 2 stories into my second sprint now, right? Now, once my first sprint is been accomplished, the team will start the second sprint, right? This is not going to start until this is the first story under the first sprint is not completed over there. So that is how the simple